bit. So there's basically going to be a new bill or new legislation that's going to come that's basically supposedly going, not supposedly, it's supposed to get rid of IPS, Indiana Public School System, in that district and four other districts and replace them with charter schools. Basically, what it's saying is like if 50% of, like with IPS schools, if 50% of the parents in that district decide to send their schools to a different school or a different district or a different school outside of that district, they're basically going to switch that school to a charter school. A charter school is basically, it's not owned and operated by the state. It's owned and it's private, and the board of them are not voted on by the state. The board is chosen by like the owner of the charter school. Now, charter schools have a lot more wiggle room and a lot more ability to do things about like curriculum, like what they're going to teach, where the funding goes, where they're like after school, how it operates with the community. Like they have more power and ability to choose those things, whereas like a school district, like that's federally funded, so even the money that goes into the school, even the money that's going into it, it's also meant to help the community that the school is around as well, like busing systems, after school programs. Like the money that's going in to fund those schools aren't only making the schools better, they're making the community that the schools are in better, because those schools have an obligation to do that, whereas charter schools don't have that obligation. But the conversation about why charter schools could be better is that, you know, they have the ability to tailor their education more towards the community that the schools are in. Now, anybody that knows IPS schools knows that it's going to basically affect black and brown students. IPS schools, Indiana Public Schools list. Like, let me see if I can get a list. Like, I mean, like, let's see. This is crazy. This is not what I wanted. Like, why can I think? Like, I think like, like Tech, Broad Ripple. What are some other ones? Damn. Like, dang, a list of school districts. We'll see. Maybe the article will have some in here. But basically, it's going to take away those. If 50% of the people in that district are not signed up to go to the school within that district, they're going to take the school away, turn it into a charter school. And there's been a lot of talk about this. I won't lie. When I first saw this, I thought, because people are mad about this happening. When I first saw this, I was like, well, why are people mad about this? I mean, if 50% of the people are already not going there, that shows that the parents aren't choosing that school. And maybe it would be better to have a school that is going to be more tailored to specifically those communities. I talked to some people that are smarter than me, and I realized that's a very naive thinking. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a product of IPS schools, and I don't know much about like public school districts. I just won't lie. But when I learned more about it, I kind of realized I was naive, just for the simple fact that I was talking about beforehand, where these charter schools don't have an obligation to put money back into the community. And in today's world, who are you going to believe that people are going to do the right thing, where they have the ability to make curriculums and education that are going to be around the people that are going to be in those districts, which are black and brown students? So they say they can do that, but where they really do that, and where they adequately educate those students based off of what they need and what would matter to them? I think it is fair to say probably not. And especially when the board isn't elected by the people in the district, it's elected by the charter school owners. And so you're really putting in a lot of trust to these charter school owners to do the right thing, when almost nobody does the right thing in today's world. And I think I think the problem with this is that, like, everybody knows that IPS scores are underfunded. The teachers are treated the best. Like, there's a lot of problems, but I think what a lot of people are saying is that the fix to this problem isn't getting rid of a district that is made specifically to help these kids, and get it and switch them with schools that are supposed to help these kids but aren't made to. The fix is to put more money into it, and to give these schools more resources to interact with the teachers in these districts, to interact with the principals and superintendents of these districts, to see what they need, see the funding, and help them create that. I think that's kind of the plan. This article, and it's a good article, it's Mirror Indie, but what's posted on Mirror Indie, but it's from WFYI, two great places. But this article basically says how this bill maybe is kind of like doing it to put the pressure on the heat on public schools to like make better make better schools and make better resources and use the resources better for these schools, but it's still scary. It's still scary when you think about it. And in the way that it's worded, it could be easy to think this isn't a bad thing, but I think it actually potentially could be. And there's like a tweet, or like there's like if the bill is passed and is signed into law by incoming Governor Mike Brown, the process to dissolve all 5 school districts will begin in July. While Brown is a strong advocate for school choice and expanding options for private school attendance, he has not specifically emphasized charter schools in his agenda. And I think it's important to say that Representative Jake Teska, North Liberty Republican, is who made this. Let's see. So this is him. This is the Indiana State Representative. That's important. And the bill states that if more than 50% of students residing within a school district's boundaries were enrolled in schools not operated by the district as of October 1st of the previous year, the district must be dissolved. School district's average daily enrollment is determined on that date annually. And there's a link in here that I want to see. Yeah, this legislation is drawing local and national attention, with parents and pundits taking to social media to voice alarm or praise ahead of this week's start of the Indiana General Assembly's 2025 legislative session. And before we get off that, we're going to see when that is too. But pundits taking to social media. Yeah, this is Facebook. Oh, I hope it lets me see it. Is it going to make me log in? All right, notifications blocked. So this lady, this is interesting. Let's see. All right. So yeah. Let me go in on this. And this kind of explains why it's bad, I think, in a really good way. Let me move this right here, make it a little smaller. Okay. So contact bill authors and tell them to kill this bill. 1 in 3 charter schools in Indianapolis alone have closed, some due to lack of oversight, others due to poor educational outcomes, and some because of fraud. Yet Representative Jake Teska, the guy we just showed a picture of, wants to give the state the authority to dissolve public school corporations and force them into charters. From Indiana Coalition of Public Education, Monroe County, the bill's provisions are estimated to dissolve 5 school corporations by fall year 2029. But there's something else that was better. Please note, this affects the most underserved school districts because this is where the charter schools have housed. It would be even more foolish to believe that charter schools are doing a better job than the district. This is not happening either. Stop experimenting on the brown and black students in the state of Indiana. There is experimenting on the brown and black students, and there is a solution to this problem, but clearly the Indiana Republican supermajority is not willing to help those underserved, underfunded, and marginalized schools. Adding more charters is not the answers. Working with the school district, teachers, and families in the schools to see what they need to succeed could be a start. So, yeah. I think that pretty much says it. You're taking control. And I think the argument could be had for these charter schools. Well, if 50% of the parents aren't sending their students there anyways, why would you go? And I think I'm not going to say, I've talked to somebody that says they don't believe that number. And I could say 50% is high. They're reporting it here in Mary Indy. I've been seeing it everywhere. So I guess it could be the truth. And then they have this graph here under House Bill 1136. If more than 50% of students within a school corporation's boundaries attend schools not operated by the district, the corporation must be dissolved by 2028 and its schools converted to charter schools. So this is like Indianapolis public schools, students residing. So there's 49,729 students. And let me make this a little bit bigger. Like, it's basically just saying the people that are enrolled in the schools of their district, depending on the district. And these are the districts that are in risk of being canceled. So here's IPS, Indiana Public Schools. 49,721. Almost 50,000 students are in that area, live in that area. But there's only 19,228 students that are enrolled in schools in that district. So that means that 61% of schools, 60% of residents, students enrolled at schools other than that district. And then it says that there's 50 schools that could become charters as a part of this. So this is a big deal. This is actually a big deal. And it's getting back to that education where, it's the education in America. It's been a problem ever since COVID, I'd say, and it's gotten worse and worse. And now we're thinking about in Indianapolis, Indiana, taking the schools that are made to be funded to specifically help and have a duty and an obligation at some point to give funding to these schools and these communities, and we're handing them up to not privatized. I guess there are privatized because they can do what they want. It's not a private school where you have to pay money, but they're handing it out to places where they have more opportunity to do what they want, which is make money and maybe not care about the students. I mean, it's interesting. It's very interesting. And then this is one of the many bills that is going to be talked about at the start of this week's Indiana General Assembly's 2025 legislative session. Some of the other bills in here are going to be important. I'm definitely going to talk about them on Guarantee News in the upcoming weeks. What are the dates? When does the start? Oh, today. The House will reconvene on Wednesday, January 8th at 1:30 p.m. and the Senate at 1:30. Use the online form of district maps to locate information and contact. All right, so this is going to be going on today. It happened today. So that's that. And then let's get to